All right. Okay. Looks like we're live. All righty. I have a cup of coffee. Yep. Well, from my questioning of subscribers on, should we go live or not, or when they'd like to go live, I really didn't. I had a few answers, but nothing, that would sway my mind or set up anything. So I decided just today to pop up. Kind of a lazy day. I have to go to the Legion today and talk to some friends, and I figure I just have a chat discussing the reloading component situation and that, because it looks like with the way, and I'll have another live chat. I've decided maybe the live chats are the way to go. Have them on Sundays like I like to have them, and talk about just the surplus market in general. It's pretty abysmal, and with the way things are with the country and the economy and that, it's tough to do anything. And the inflation and the bullshit has hit us to where, to reload anything, uh, if you can find the components, it's impossible, and it's cheaper to buy certain factory ammunition. All right, how you doing there, Generation Kill 001? All right, we got somebody out there. We got 4 people so far. Uh, yeah, well, if you work at a gun shop, that's true too. There's a gun shop that gets a lot of components. Uh, Finding some components are tough. I mean, I got some the other day. It was the first time a week or so ago that I found primers on the shelf, with no limit. Uh, at what the hell was it? Academy Sports. So yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, you can get primers. Some gunpowders are really tough to find. Okay, primers are showing up, um, but certain brass had this big thing with a subscriber, about 5070 brass. He bought a rifle. He wanted to load some 5070, and if you find it at an auction site or something, it used to be from Starline. Starline made the stuff. It was like $1.25, $1.50, or maybe $1.75 if you buy under 250 of them, instead of in bulk. But they were going for $6.75 each on auctions. Somebody was paying close to $7 for something that was about $1.75 at one point in time. Okay, so some things are hard to find. Some ammunition is hard to find. Okay, or when you do find it, it's quite expensive, and it makes shooting a lot of these mil surplus guns. Uh, then it ain't fun no more. You know, where every time you pull the trigger, it's $2.50, but that's what it's coming down to. And even if you reloaded it, yeah, there are certain powders that are no longer made, either because of sales or, like you said, an ingredient in there that can't, now that we've got sanctions against half of the known people on the planet, uh, a lot of nitrocellulose and stuff that's all coming out of China, Russia, uh, it's a problem, you know, and it just makes it a pain in the ass. I mean, it's kind of like at one time, 3040 Craig. Okay, they were a very common gun, old U.S. surplus gun. And the reason that you find a lot of these guns sporterized, was because there was an older gentleman that told me when he went to gunsmithing school back in the late 50s, early 60s, how they would teach you is when you enrolled in a class, they would tell you to go buy an old Springfield 3040 Kreg because the ammunition's available. It's a 30 caliber. Uh, and what you learned is you would take that rifle with that long barrel, you would disassemble it, cut the barrel down. You got to learn the lathe work, cut the barrel down, recrown it, put on, the sporting sights. And, if you're real intricate, go and carve the wood. I've seen some where the stocks have been shortened, had a nose cap put on, inlays put on. It was what you practice on. Were the old military mill surplus guns. That's how a lot of the gunsmith schools, and that's why you'll find a lot of these sporterized guns with the weird carving on the stock and that. It was somebody who was a student learning to do that stuff. Now, nobody likes a gun with wood on it. Everybody likes, even the high dollar hunting rifles got some kind of carbon fiber, injection molded plastic or some shit. So you don't need to know how to carve wood or checker it or whatever. Those skills are gone. But a lot of it too was cutting down the barrel, recrowning it on the lathe, getting the barrel on, off, then re-head spacing it, or if you replaced it, a lot of practice there, practical knowledge. And that's why you see a lot of these guns sporterized like that. So it was a common gun. And I mean, getting ammunition for it was, that's unheard of. Every time I went to any store, either a gun shop or, large box store, Sportsman's Guide, where it was highly unusual to walk in there and not find 30-06, 3040 Kreg, 308 Winchester, And now all of a sudden, at one point in time, 308, 3040 just disappeared. And Remington and Winchester used to, one time in a year, offer the brass for people that reload, offer that as a component for sale. And all of a sudden, one day it dried up. And that's where I always get curious. When anyone contacts me and starts asking me about brass or something, I ain't thinking about it, or some of it's sitting in the garage. I ended up selling it to the guy. Some of it was laying there for over 30, 40 years. But then come to find out, if I sold it online, I could have got $1.50 a damn case for it, Good morning. Good morning, Sean. So yeah, so now I'm a little bit more cautious with my brass and stuff that lies around, but they stopped making it. Okay. And there are people that still use those guns. They do make an excellent hunting rifle. Okay, I have the long military version, and I have one that was shortened down, sporterized, not really sporterized. Back in the 20s, they kind of shortened it, and it's a good shooting gun. It would be a good gun to hunt with, like white-tailed deer, black bear. That's where I come from. Those are the two big game animals you'd hunt, okay? And the whitetails up in the Adirondacks, they all weigh over 200 pounds. They ain't like these dwarf deer they got down here in North Carolina. And you go to South Carolina, it's hard when they're dressed to weigh 80 pounds or 90 pounds as swamp deer. That's why when you get a hunt permit down there, you can take 5 of them a year. Depends where you live, depends what kind of game. And, that dictates what type of rifle you got. Up in the mountains, a 30-30 Winchester or a 32 Winchester, that was, probably the best all-around gun to buy. They weren't that expensive. The ammunition was plentiful, and they did the job. You rarely taking a shot over 100 yards at a deer up there, where I used to live. So it all depends. But the thing is, when you're not finding, components, they're not making them. Everyone's making, I don't know, they say because of the war and all this other horse shit. But you can find 9mm brass. Actually, I got a ton of it sitting in the garage. And I was looking at what they sell it for. I think they're selling it for $30 once fired, or range brass. It's like $30 for 1,000 empty cases. You know, so 9 millimeters in no short supply. I can guarantee you that. Or 223, or what else do they always offer? The 9, 5.56, 380 is still a little high. I know some people were complaining to me 380 is high, and some of the components are hard to find. And I forgot what the hell I was looking for. A lot of the military surplus stuff, like 7.7 Jap, and those bullets, they're 312 diameter. They'll go into 7.7 Jap. They'll go into the 303 British, and the Argentine, the 7 point whatever the hell it is, that Argentine round. All use that same bullet, and that's hard to find. There was something else I was looking for. Oh, 30 carbine. I decided I was going to gather up all the brass I accumulated, and load up some 30 carbine, and to get that 110 grain bullet. That's kind of even the Barry's plated bullets. It's all sold out. Okay, which they probably, those cartridges weren't used much, or that. And somebody complained to me years ago it was hard to find other than that steel case crap out of Russia, the 30 carbine, um, anywhere. And if it's something that doesn't sell, stores won't stock it. Then you got to go online and look for it. You know, 9 millimeter Mac. I mean, Starline made the brass, which was neat. And then I just went and put a Barry's bullet on there, made an outstanding cartridge. I think I loaded 1,000 rounds of that stuff. I just about used it up. I just want to make sure. I know I saved the brass somewhere. I have to go look for it. Something like that is worth reloading, okay, because you can't find it. Or 7.62 by 25 is another one. Um, you know, that's ammunition was dirt cheap. And I forget what happened all them years ago. Mysteriously overnight, it disappeared and then became excruciatingly expensive. Um, I don't know. They may have banned it or something. I have no idea. Somebody told me some story that a guy in Alaska tried buying it all up and cornering the world market. I don't really know how much sense that makes or why somebody would do that, but that was the cool story, other than the fact that, you know, they may have banned the stuff. Who the hell knows? So, yeah, I thought I'd kick up a live stream just to kill some time. There he is, Joe Morgan. All right. And see what was going on. Things here kind of at a standstill. You know, some reloading projects talking about that. Oh, there he is, the gun geek. Hey, gun geek are. All right. The reason is I reloaded it once a million years ago, and then I just went and bought a whole bunch of the stuff off the shelf. And the few times I've fired my carbine since then, I've always used just that Winchester ammo. I have some mil surplus Korean or something ammo, but there's something I don't know if it's got a slight taper case, and when you run it up a carbide sizer, it's doing a straight wall. But you got to use a jacketed bullet. I tried doing cast bullets. If you're trying to save money and do cast bullets, the carbine kind of don't like that. I never tried the Barry's bullets, but I was thinking of just trying that because I got some powder that I bought years ago for something else. I think it was 300 blackout, and I found another powder to work better. And I got this powder, and the only other thing, if you go look under any load data for the M1 carbine, that powder's there for it all, because it's usually just 110 grain bullet. I don't think they make anything else to fit on that. cartridge. But that's something I haven't done it in seriously 40 years. The last time I did that when I was in high school because my cousin would loan me a carbine, but he told me I have to get the ammo, and even then the ammo wasn't cheap. It was kind of hard to find. So I tried loading some cast bullets up and didn't quite work well. I also had an how was that? So Universal, the Universal car. It didn't work well with certain magazines and all kinds of other weird stuff. Them Universals, the cheap knockoffs of the M1 carbine, they weren't worth it. Um, but yeah, I had trouble with it. I'll work on it, Aaron. You're a member, so you'll see all of the development. That was something I was going to work on. But we got the Gun Geek here. I don't know if you've been doing any reloading, or I don't know how things are up there in Canada. I mean, the prices and availability of stuff here it's hit or miss. The primers, like I said in that one video, I was surprised when I went in the store. I found primers and no limits uh, for the first time in like 3 years. You know, but certain powders are, and there he is. There's Rod. All right. Certain powders are tough to get, and like he's saying, Varget, they're not going to make it, or they're not making it, or whatever. So then there's a lot of them that got canceled. There's several older powders they're no longer made, and I think it was the other fellow from up there in Canada, 405, whatever the hell the numbers are. He's into that stuff, and he was using the newer powders, the blue and the red and that, and he got some and was really working with it. And then he just told me the last time he was in the chat, he said they discontinued them. They're not making them no more. Here goes the chat. Yeah, he was up on it, and he said they just, and that was a relatively new powder. I mean, I remember when it came out a few years ago, and they're trying to change their lineup. Yeah, that's what I said. They were new, and they come out with new powders, and I believe the problem is the older powders, like the old IMR powders, there's a certain chemical makeup to them that they're changing, because now I believe a lot of the accurate powders, even though they have the same number as the IMR powders, they're not chemically made up the same way as their counterparts, the IMR powders, extruded stick powders. I'm not really into the science behind it, but it's out there and you see it out there and it's still on the shelf, which means that people really don't like it. And, you know, there was a couple guys on these forums that they said, oh, just swap out with this and adjust it by a percentage, which right there and then that ain't really good when they start telling you just cut back by a certain percentage and grain wise. They're not giving you published data that's been run on a universal receiver and giving you this information. I don't like that. Okay. So I believe what it is, it's in the manufacture of it, because I believe there's only 3 places that manufacture smokeless powder or something. There's something in the chemical makeup of those accurate powders, even though they have the same number, which is different. And they tell you this one can replace Varget. And there was a guy that obviously took reloading fairly serious. And Varget is a good powder, and it's an accurate powder once you tweak it in. I found, like, for 303 British, this stuff is fantastic. I mean, it hits the spot. Well, like he said, even though they say you can substitute it, you'll find that you lose your accuracy. If you're really meticulous and really doing this and into it, you'll find that just because they say it's just as good as, It's kind of like those, it was an American Reloader or something. These powders that came, I guess they came from overseas somewhere. I forget the brand, but I've seen them everywhere. And there was one place that reloaded, made all kinds of reload, and they use that stuff. And I read the charts, and it gives you approximates and what they recommend to use it for, but nothing really concrete. And yeah, it was way cheaper than any other powder. And several of my subscribers, I use it for this. But nobody's ever sent me a target saying, this is IMR powder such and such, this is brand X weasel dust, and here are my targets, and look, I got a 1-inch group, I got a 1-inch group, this is just as good. No, nobody does that. So you can tell me anything that makes you happy, but until you show that to me and prove it to me, you're just talking out your ass as far as I'm concerned, okay, when it comes to this shit. Because I spent a lot of time and put a lot of effort. And if I say, this works like this doesn't work, that means I proved it, okay? It's not just, hey, this is cheaper, so I like it that it's cheaper. So, IMRs are gone. Roll my ass out of bed working on coffee. Yeah, that reminds me. Maybe surgery. Varget may have, and I think the other one that's gone is Trail Boss. Now, Trail Boss was kind of a magic powder, and these people liked it and would do all this stuff with it. And it was popular. I used it for a lot of cowboy action type of shooting, like the 45 Colt. I had a load for a single action with a 7-inch barrel that, that bullet hardly got out of there at 800 or 900 feet per second, but it was accurate as hell and fun to shoot. The only thing about the Trail Boss is they're like rings, and they're huge, and if you're not supposed to be splitting them or breaking them, it was difficult to meter that and load up with it. In Western NC. All right, but see, Varget, I haven't seen it. Okay. And IMR powders, part of it, I believe, is they're not releasing it or wherever the hell it goes. It's like I found it online, and I can get an 8-pound keg delivered to the house of some IMR powders for over $400. Okay. Varget, I don't know. I think Rod was the one where that guy paid over 1,000 Canadian for 8-pound keg of Varget. He used 1 pound and trying to sell it. And I remember that story. That was from last year. But it's not so much that I don't think they're producing it. They're not letting it out. They're doing, it's doing something else. Because if you got a product that even at the increased price sells out pretty damn quick, because all the favorite powders, the IMR powders I like, 40, 64, whatever, 41.98, and then that other one, I just got that pound of it. I can't remember the exact friggin' numbers, but all of those powders are fairly good powders, and they give you very good results. And a lot of centerfire rifle cartridges, and they're consistent and reliable. Okay, in all of them. Like I said, Varget, I used it. I got a pound of it, and somebody told me to use it on a 303 British, and I did, and it was very good. It was a very accurate powder, 172 plus taxes. Yeah, but you can find them at $55 online if you try buying them online and having them sent to you. Okay. And you know, when I go to the store, there's a whole bunch of powder, but it's not the powder that I use. Um, yeah. $43.50. That's another one. $100 a pound. $48.95. I got some here. $48.95. I don't know if that is $41.98. It's $47.59. SR $47.59 hasn't been made, but IMR $48.95 I believe still is made. There's some of them that aren't made. Vale, North Carolina. Well, there's a wholesaler or something down here in Lexington. It's like a 45-minute drive. He won't hold nothing for you, so I have to drive 45 minutes to a gun shop. And when I get there that day, hopefully he has what I need in stock, you know, and then that's it. You know, that's what I mean. It's tough. 48. Well, IMRs are good for, like I said, for center fire rifle cartridges. Okay, and H335, yeah, $62 a pound. That's Canadian, so it probably comes out to about $58. But see, the thing is, you have to have a store that stocks it. You know, I found powders that I liked. All of them were online. I did not get them at a local store. Okay, it was a big online. I don't know. You can't call them wholesalers or dealers. There's several companies that have it. You know, oh, I can't even. Well, there's Powder Valley, Natchez Shooting Supplies, Grafs and Sons as usual. They really, you know, you get an email alert whenever they get stuff in stock. Um, but there were several online dealers that I used to buy powder from. And the thing is, when you're gonna do it like that, that's when, you know, you got to lay some money down. I'm talking these purchases are anywhere from $300 to $400 back in the old days when I used to get an 8-pound thing of powder for $140. You know, you'd take 3 or 4. They could send you like 4 different powders in a box. So 4 of those 8-pound kegs, and you get charged. I think it's 25 or whatever the hell the hazmat fee. But years ago, they didn't charge you sales tax. So that's where I made out ordering it that way. I'd have to drop a big order. It's like black powder. You know, if I order black powder, I'm ordering $300 worth of shit at one time. Okay. And then I'm stocked for a year, so I still got stuff there. I guess this summer I'll burn up a bunch of it. You know, you couldn't find that when they had the problem with the plant down there, the last place in the U.S. that made it with, how was it? GoX. Because that Graf branded stuff is, that's the stuff made in Germany. I forget what it was. It's a good powder, but it has a real heavy residue in it. I think most, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Like I said, when I was buying it, they didn't charge me the sales tax. That was actually it probably was the most cheapest way to buy powder in bulk years ago. Because when I used to shoot trap, I used to get 2 or 4 things of what was that? E3 powder. I loved that for my 12 gauge loads. I shot thousands and thousands of rounds of that. I used to go through a couple of them kegs in a year. I mean, it just throw them out in a recyclable. I used to go through a ton of that powder. That's how much I shot when I used to compete on a regular basis. And I did that for about 4 years, you know. Then it just became too expensive. to do and the traveling. It was fun to travel to the clubs, go shoot in a tournament, American Trap Shooters Association. You know, I used to like doing that. Ram Shot and Shooters World. That's the one. Shooters World. All right, so that Shooters World, that's ball powders. I've used some ball powders, and I get loads that work with them, and they're good. Okay, I have. I ain't gonna tell you that they're evil. I just generally didn't get good results with a lot of them. Didn't want to put in there when the IMR. I got the old low data, and I get the IMR powders, and within a short period of time, I can work something out. That Shooters World too. I don't know if that stuff's not made in the U.S. And it's nickel dime crap. Oh, sorry to hear that, Joe. A lot of red and blue dot because that's what I had. Yeah, actually, red dot and green dot are pretty damn good for cast bullets. 4320. I think 4320 is what I think they stopped making IMR 4320. I use that for the damn Carcano load with 160 grain bullet, and that's been out. I used the last of that powder and loading some of that ammo, and I think they stopped making that. The 4320 was comparable to Varget, okay, and Varget was more popular. I think that's why they dropped it from the line. People weren't using it, and you would find it every now and again. 303, yep. Yeah, it was a good powder, but I think that one's discontinued. I'm not quite sure. See, I can't remember the 80 different friggin' numbers and stuff. Nevertheless, my phone number with all this, and that's why I get nervous, hesitant to saying something. I'll give you the wrong number, and somebody, if they misconstrued what it is, could kill themselves. They decide to go and use it. I have until April 30th to find a house. Well, what happened? They foreclose on you? There, Joe. Sounds like, yeah. All right, Rod knows it's been discontinued. You guys give me a minute. I have to get me a little more coffee. All right. All right, I'm back. I had to order coffee. It looks like we're going to get into a good discussion this morning. Yeah, it's discontinued. IMR 4820. Yeah, 7828. I've heard of it. I don't know if you were mentioning that to me the other day, Rod. That was one I haven't really look that up. 7828. You used to have these listings of powders and these reloading manuals, and they give you a description of what they could be used for. Don't know if that still exists. Reference section. Base inspection, powders. Here we go. DuPont were SRs, they called them DuPonts back then. IMRs. IMRs. $78.28. This book is so old. 78. It comes under a Winchester powder. Yeah, this book is old. That ain't listed in there. There's some that are no longer made again. Herco is one of them. Yeah, you'll find a Varget will probably work good in that, in the Swiss. Oh, sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear your mom's in a nursing home, Joe. But yeah, there you find there's a lot of powders that aren't being made, and why it's not getting out here, I don't know. I don't know if it's consortium or. And another thing you have to remember, these companies, a lot of their business they do is with the government. Okay, it's like everyone said this conspiracy theory. Oh, the State Department bought so many million rounds of 40 Smith and Wesson. That's when they were supplying the Iraq police force with pistols and ammo. Was part of the thing during the conflict over there. But when you look at it, the government usually orders X amount of what they need for the military or whatever, the different agencies in one shot in 1 year, and you get a contract. Like the Border Patrol, I think they went with 40 Smith and Wesson or something. And I remember this guy's son was in the Border Patrol, and they just told him to expend this ammo in target practice and that, and he used to get it for his dad, so much so that he bought a 40 Smith and Wesson pistol just to shoot the ammo he's getting. All right, just like I said, I just did this. I was going to go to a gun show up in Winston, but the last few times I went there, there's one dealer there, and he's short on mill surplus guns, and a lot of stuff was either crazy priced, or there were these small dealers or people like me selling the stuff that was just used, overpriced stuff. And I was talking to one guy, the younger fellow there. I'd say he's in his 30s. There with his wife and kids. He bought an M1 Garand, but he wanted an actual one that wasn't re-arsenaled or rebuilt. And he found one, and I asked him what he paid. He paid about $1,600 for it. And he let me look at the gun. But like I said, if you buy online, okay, and go around to all these sites, because I have two FFL set up here that, one of them, he's listed there. I ain't even got to tell him. I just order it, say send it to him, and he calls me on the phone when it shows up. All right, so, come pick it up. There were so many deals, and they still have them. If you go to Bud's Gun Shop and there's all these rebates on these guns that were costing $3.5, $3.25. If you go get them, you get these rebates, and it knocked the price down to $2.5. That's why I did those specials on all those different odd handguns. Is and that is carried through the year. Actually, it started in the fall of the other year, and it's kind of carried on. I think at one gun I got, that Stoger pistol, the Turks make it, and it's just a Glock clone or something. That thing, the one I have, is fantastic. It shoots any of that ammunition. It's stuff I was getting light strikes with or wasn't feed right. Rips right through that gun. Okay, and they were giving you a $50 rebate on it, and I think they brought that back. It was again a $50 rebate, and you get that gun for the price of you know, Taurus, like G3 or something. The only thing that sucks is the magazines are hard to find and they're quite expensive. You know, they're $30, $40 a piece. I did find some in a local gun shop or an extra one, but that's a fairly decent gun, you know, out of all of them. And I bought some of the Ruger had that one little weird micro 9, which ain't that bad. And then Savage made that one pistol and a whole array of different features, safeties, no safeties, and that. And I picked that thing up dirt cheap, you know, way off. You know, it was like $100 less than the MSRP. And it's an okay gun, but I think it's a little on the expensive side for what it is. There's a lot of halfway decent pistols out there you can get that'll work just as fine as that for less money. You know, that's when you start splitting hairs on that stuff. Let's see now. Spare manual. He's in a Taurus, yeah. Well, the Baradin 2. What I did is I went and got the problem with the Baradin 2 is you're not going to use a conventional cast bullet. You're going to have to, the way that chamber's cut and the way the throat is, you're going to have to use a paper patch bullet. You're not going to use a coated bullet or anything because the paper patch is the jacket on the bullet. Okay, simple as that. Now, I was fooling around with it, and the problem is I have trouble rolling that with a paper patch. Okay, I found a bullet on Accurate Bullet Molds that I got the bullet mold, but I think whoever did it didn't understand that the damn bullet must be smaller than the bore diameter. Okay, it's kind of like 2 thousandths over, so it's gripping the rifling a little bit. And I did do some work and got something going. I figured out how to make the brass, and I got a set of reloading dies. And I found this bar of lead. I'm not even quite sure what the hell it was. This huge bar of lead. It went into some machine that made something, and I melted the stuff down. It isn't really soft lead, but it does cast a good bullet. I cast a bunch of those bullets, and I tried that. I may go back because I still got that Royal Tiger rifle. It was cut down, and somebody just hacksawed the bastard. So I have to go dress the end of that off. But now I have the crowning tools to where I can, recrown that muzzle, and I might try it again. That might be something I'm working on. Right now I'm working on reloading for the Kropachik or Kropachek or whatever the hell, however they pronounce it. I pronounce it Kropachik. I got a bullet that I think will work, a cast bullet with a flat nose. And again, trying to explain to people the groove diameter on that is just like the 8x56. It is not an 8mm. And people still don't listen to me when I tell them those old bullets had a plug in the back that expanded the bullet. So measuring the bullet is not going to give you the correct diameter. And if you just put an 8mm, a 324 or whatever in there, it just rattles down the barrel. And I found that a lot of people, these experts that load all this shit at the gun show, the one guy sold me some ammo that has a spire point bullet on there, which you cannot use in a tubular magazine rifle. because I bought one from an online auction that was in nice shape. But when I went to take it apart, I noticed there was a strange crack in the stock and the tube in it. Somebody put spire point bullets in there, and one of them exploded inside the chamber or detonated in there, or in the tubular magazine, and fucked that gun up royally. So you got to buyer beware. Always run your hand down the stock, and if it looks like forward the action, that's what somebody did. And I've seen a lot of that ammo loaded with a spire point bullet. Okay. If you use it in single shot, it's all right. But if you load the tubular magazine with it, you're gonna fuck the gun up. And but who am I? You know. Offer me a Browning bolt. Super good. It's not really that complicated. You just got to cut the patch right and line it up, and it takes some practice. And with my fucked up hand, it's almost horrible. Teflon tape to patch 43 miles. Well, yeah. Is mega accurate. No, 43 Mauser for that. No, I forget what the hell I use for it. See, that's why, if you get a membership, it's up under there somewhere. Let me see. What was that? The Baradin. Do 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 do. Baradin, yeah. Let me see. Russian. There is a video I have up there. And I feel okay. All right, I form it out of the 5090. It's not that difficult if you have the dies. 43 Mauser, fire forming it out of the 43 Mauser is quite expensive, and I think it's longer than the 43 Mauser. So 5090 is the brass. You used to be able to get it from Starline, but all of those old brass cases like the 5070 and all that other stuff is out of the thing. Well, I did. I got it going. See, I didn't have the military bullets. I did buy them about 4 years ago to do that with the 8x58 Craig. I just never got around to it. I still have all that Bertram brass in there, and it's working pretty good. And I got the dies. So for me, that would be another one to try to go and read. And all you do is take the bullet weight and load it for the 3040 Craig, modern 3040 Craig, where it's a little bit tapered down. And that should, that's pretty simple. I mean, you buy the brass from Bertram. I got the dies from CH4D, so it's a walk in the park. And then you just find a bullet weight and kind of work with something in the 3040 Craig load data for that same bullet weight, and you should be all right. And probably get some accurate rounds out of it. And again, I use an IMR powder of some sort for that. But yeah, I have all these guns, but I have so many of them. And, it takes some time to concentrate, sit down, dig all the stuff out, look up the old information. get it going. But I should, because those are neat guns. Those are really neat old rifles. All right. Used to be brass called 43 Basic from Bell Extrusion. Right, but can you get that anymore? I mean, you're pretty good ride with the historical info here, but a lot of that stuff uh, you can't really find. Let's just talk about the attack in Moscow. Let me see if my coffee's ready, and I'll get back. I guess I can talk to you about that. They hate the fucking Russians here. Give me a minute, guys. My coffee ready? All right, what happened in Moscow? From what my wife can find out about it, and she heard about this she still can tap in and get the Russian news agencies. Of course, nothing's in English, but when it first came out, there was a lot of confusion, okay, about what was going on and how many were dead and all this other stuff. And then, of course, who is it? And supposedly it's ISIS attacked them, is what they're officially saying at this point in time. And again, they attacked the theater or some kind of thing where there was a concert, much like that when the Chechens attacked that one time the opera house or some horseshit and took all them people hostages. There's another one of these bloodbaths. Things of that nature never go good over there one way or the other. But that's what happened, and unfortunately, yes, a lot of people died, much like those other attacks that happened in the past years. There, anytime they have some sort of terrorist activity where hostages are taken, the Russian police and military kill half the hostages in the process of taking over. So it's one of those situations again. And things there are not good because on Victory Day, uh, in the former Soviet Union, Victory Day was an extreme national holiday. We called it VE Day, Victory in Europe. And that's when they celebrate the end of, World War II in April or May, whatever it is. But Victory Day is a huge national holiday for the Soviets, or used to be. And it's a 3-day affair. They shut down everything for 3 damn days, have that big parade, and whoever's in charge of Russia is supposed to review the troops and that, and then go to the memorial and lay the wreath. And this last Victory Day with President Putin, it was kind of scary because it was done very quickly. He didn't go near the crowds like he used to, and they all walked there to Kremlin from the reviewing stand. They all walked real quick, and there was a shitload of security around them. They did the ceremony at the monument and laid the wreath and that. So things in that country are pretty. It's kind of like Mexico or one of these other third world dictatorships where you don't want to be standing next to the guy running a place. Might be some shooting done. So yeah, that's not good. Um, right now, they're saying it's ISIS or Middle Eastern terrorists are claiming responsibility, but in this current world with everything going on, there's a lot of people that can do something, say it's one thing, and actually start something else. But it's kind of scary. I guess I was told that the Russians are actually bombing or shelling Kiev, the capital of the Ukraine, which they kind of were holding back on that. There's a lot of historic stuff there. It is the capital city, and I think one or the other. There in the Middle East are going to break out, and it's not going to be good. And once something like that happens, you're going to see there's going to be an economic collapse in this country. There's going to be a stock market crash or some horseshit. That's why I've been screwing around with the the metals. I put a little bit aside in the metals just in case. You know, I don't trust. You know, like I said, I don't trust any of these 401ks, the stock market, or anything like that. And you know, they always told you don't put money in savings, but the thing is, that's the only thing that saves your ass in an emergency. You know, 401k, you can't touch thing without getting penalized half to death unless you're retired like me and over 60 some years old, or 50, 59 and a half, you can't draw the money out. Um, but still, it's the savings. You know, and every financial advisor tells you it's the worst thing to have a savings account and all this other shit. But when you need 4 or 5,000, you know, for something goes wrong, either a medical bill or something with the house, you know, roof starts leaking or some shit, you know, you got to get things fixed. How they advise you is wrong. Okay. But yeah, it's not good there in Russia. It's not good in the Middle East, and I had some bad feelings. Okay. All right. Rod's vintage guns. New reloaders always welcome. You got a rolling block in 43 Russian. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's what I heard. I'm lose. Yeah, lose mayor. I don't know what country you're coming from, but yeah, you probably heard something different. They said ISIS. Yeah, that could be. Probably got it cheap enough. Yeah, and when's the auction going to start? It invested in Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin, I'm not quite sure. That's bizarre. I remember that stuff, and I forget what the hell is a Bitcoin worth, 37,000 or some ridiculous. There was a thing where people were getting a lot of. There's a whole bunch. At one channel, I was, or at one platform I was trying other than YouTube. Use the Odyssey. Everything there is in some kind of cryptocurrency that's specific to them. And I tried figuring out because I was earning something, but it's in crypto. And then I got to convert it into something else or something. I don't know. And then for a while there, all these crypto things were they had a crackdown on them or something. So yeah, I don't know. Larry Mitchell. I use ZMAC 3 to pour by. Yeah, Shay Grady, we're not launching that stuff in a 25 and 30 mil project. Here. There, you talking about reloading these? The hell is this? Is it 30 mil? That's what you're using? Yeah. Oh, okay, Gun Geek, you got a rolling block. All right, 8x58. Because I actually got the Craig rifle. And I know they put there is, I don't know if the rollers, yeah, see, there is a difference with the rolling blocks and the actual rifles. Bigger, gauge 8 for a 10 Warthog. Yeah. Do you ever get that thing made finally? I remember you said you've been working on that for years. For was it a 30 mil? Rossi 92. It's a good gun. Um, there's people that tune them. They say they might have hang-ups on them. It depends when you had them made. I don't know. Does Rossi still make them? Or they made under another name, Razzletech or something? Uh, I don't know. Usually the auction houses, if you got stuff that's valuable, okay, they get it appraised right, and that it's just you got to hope that wherever this auction house is, you got some buyers interested in the stuff. Collectibles and antiques and that. I mean, it's rough, man. It's really rough now. And money's a little tight too. It's not a good deal. But hopefully, if you got a decent company and they got a good appraiser, you know, 2020. All right, so you finally got that 30 mil to work. All right, I'm glad to hear that. Well, I got to call you and talk to you sometime. Are you retired now? That's what I wanted to ask you. Because I finally retired, so during the day, during the week, you can get me just about any time. Yeah, that's why the Rossies. All right, then I'll give you a call sometime during the week. Uh, yeah, the Rossies, that was the thing. There was a guy that would take them apart. Basically, all he do is deburr a lot of the stuff in there, and he showed you step by step. All right, man, take it easy. That was a cookie. Yeah, and it's tough when you got to get rid of it all quick. That's the problem. When you get caught like that, you got to liquidate the stuff quick. Where if you were liquidating it over time, generally you can work it out to where you can get more money out of it. Yes, but the Rossies, I had one. It worked okay. Uh, you know, in 45 Colt, and it worked all right. But I got tired of that. I got rid of it. I still have the slide action copy of the Colt pump rifle and 45 long Colt. I still have that. I forget who made that. Rossi or Brazeltech or something like that. Yeah, I was just watching Mill Surplus Duo. I was just watching Toothlessness. The guy contacted me and that. Never really knew who he was until I seen him doing a video on how he's reloading for the 6.5 Dutch. And he went and got form dies from CH4D, which weren't cheap. And he's at least he's honest. He tells people. And he didn't have full length resizing. He had neck sizing die set. It was close to $400 for the two die sets. But the problem you're going to run into with that, if you use the 303 British, some people use a 3040 Craig, but that's if you could find 3040 Craig brass. It's so expensive and hard to find. I wouldn't use that for the 6.5 Dutch. You can get 303 brass, and don't use once fired brass, number one. You got to use brand new brass. And what it is people use Winchester because the base diameter is smaller and thinner and will fit in a Dutch cartridge. If you use PPU 303 brass, the base diameter is too thick, won't chamber. But when I've used the Winchester brass, no matter how I form that, I anneal it and everything, For some reason, that damn brass splits after 1 or 2 uses. I bought some ammo years ago that was loaded by a guy, and I'm talking a long time ago, and that's what it was, Winchester brass 303. I shot that box of ammo, I tried reloading it, all of it split. Okay. So I figured, oh, well, I had the brass 30 years. I went and experimented with some of it. I loaded it, and the brass was splitting the first time, second time. So there's something about it. Either it's too thin, can't handle the stress, or whatever. And if I go and do it again, I will use the PPU brass, but I have to chuck it up, put it on a lathe, and cut the base down. I think it's 10 thousandths or something like that. Uh, yeah, that's what Toothless was saying, but he didn't. No, he said it was 80-90 for 40 rounds. So you're looking at 40-45 bucks, something like that for 20 rounds of brass. Well, society collapsing is causing a lot of problems, uh, but it ain't going to say that you know reloading crisis directly from that. I think it's more of a financial thing and a lot of gun control. It's a hidden form of gun control. Uh, they just PPU brass. Oh, that's over the border. Well, see, this is the thing you have to take in mind. I mean, if you do go and form the stuff out of the Winchester brass, which is fairly expensive and hard to find, so I remember I had to wait and I bought some of it. But I guess that's something I'll have to sit down one day and work on. Is I'll form up some of that brass, do some of the PPU, then go out, fire a few rounds, go back, fire a few more. And there was a guy on YouTube. He was firing it in a carbine, and he was doing something where he was taking 270 bullets and sizing them down to get a little bit over the 6 point. So I think if he's doing that, a lot of those Dutch carbines with the corrosive ammo, the bores are shot out. And I've had actual surplus ammo and fired them in them. They keyhole. Okay. Most of those guns, the bores are worn out. If they're dark and that, they're worn out as shit, and they won't grip a standard 264 bullet. Okay, so again, you're getting these guns, and they're super, super hard to find with good clean bores. I got that long rifle. I had that carbine, had a beautiful bore. Some asshole went and rechambered it for something else, so that had to go. But the rifle I got, that's why I even stopped looking or trying to buy them when they come up. I got the long rifle. It shoots well. The bore is good, and I can shoot it and load the cartridges fairly well. Uh, so yeah, that's he was doing that, trying to get a bigger diameter bullet to grip, and it really wasn't working for him. So he's got a wiped out bore. How's the bore on that gun? Okay, I've really been pleased. Yeah, PPU brass is fairly decent. Canada. hating so many footy rounds. Oh, let me get another cup of coffee. I'll be back in a sec, guys. Sorry about that, gentlemen. I had to go run up, get that one myself. All right. Would the 6.5 Dutch be a bit larger when new anyway? No. They're 264, just like any standard 6.5. They're not bigger. What I've found is a lot of them that I've found use fulminated mercury in the primer, and the bores will be dark, and I mean they just rust away. They get shot out, and a lot of them I found were like that. No, I don't put a grease cookie under there because I load the gun with smokeless powder. I don't load them with black powder. Okay. So if you watch my videos where I'm shooting them with smokeless powder. So yeah, I don't load the Bairden with black. I kind of gave up on the black. I mean, I did it with the Gras because that's the only way you could go. But I don't cast a bullet. I get them swaged. They're the exact size. They're slightly under the groove diameter. You paper patch, and when I forget it's 80 some odd grains of powder, I crunch down in there, and I can get the Gras to shoot very well with a paper patch bullet and black powder. I avoid using black powder in a lot of these because unless you're using the undersized bullet in the paper patch, people don't understand that you get a buildup of residue in the barrel. And a lot of people with a 43 Mauser or a trapdoor will go and load this black powder load, and oh, it's black powder, I'm safe, and commence to shoot 40, 50 rounds until the buildup of the black powder residue blows the gun up, and then they wonder why. And I've kind of gotten away from black powder cartridge guns and loading it because people don't comprehend nor do they listen in depth to the video when I explain these different problems. Because when I fire a gun like that, every fifth round, I run a brush and a jag with a patch and clean the bore out anytime that I'm firing a black powder cartridge gun, no matter what it is. Okay. And people just think, oh, it's black powder. I'm magically going to be safe. Nothing bad will happen, and they end up just about killing themselves. Canada, grease cookie. Don't know, Joe. Yeah, because nobody stocks it. It's an explosive. Like I said, if you want to shoot black powder like I do, I just buy $300-400 of the stuff at a time, and it comes out all right. Matter of fact, that's the one thing all my subscribers ask me for. When wanted suggestions is all of them want me to shoot the black powder guns again and make videos of me shooting them. I still had that whole collection of revolvers and stuff, and I got all those bullet molds that cast them correct period shape bullets. It's just finding decent lead. And I got enough. I got to start burning some of this up. So I'll get all them out this summer. See, I have to go to the range early while all the fucking commandos and, whatever, ISIS trainees are sleeping. So when I go out to the range, fire the guns, I can speak and you can hear me. You're not getting drowned out by somebody mag dumping 9mm in the corner, repeatedly over and over again. And now, because I wanted to go out past couple weeks, and it's just too cold. It's like 32 degrees, and my hands get numbed up. I can't do a damn thing, or I don't shoot well either. So basically, a waste of time. Yeah, we got all kinds of commandos and pistoleros. I call them pistoleros. They go out to them pistol pits, and it's just that constant drilling and shooting and this and that, Yeah, make your own. Yeah, fairly easy to make your own black powder. Somebody was suggesting that I make my own smokeless powder. What the hell? Why pay all that money? Just whip it up in the kitchen. Yeah. Really ain't into manufacturing my own propellants and explosives. Speaking of which, that was my buddy on there. He does, believe it or not, he does go out and he took a barrel out of an aircraft and he made some sort of thing that fired 20, 25 mil. And like this, he was working on 30 mil. He reloads this steel case with a hydraulic press. And he bought all these little dummy plastic tips this is just an aluminum tip. And how was he showing me? He built something where he put that barrel in a Russian Maxim machine gun mount and welded the barrel into it. And he made a device that locks into the end of the barrel, and it's the chamber and firing mechanism for one of them. So his class 3 or whatever destructive device license, he had his thing built legally. It's registered to him, and it's just this part that latches onto the end of the barrel. And he takes old refrigerators and shit out somewhere and fires this crap at him and wads them up like a piece of paper. It's pretty funny. I got to go up there now. He's retired. I got to take time, drive out there, and spend a few days with him and go screw around with this. It'll be some interesting videos. You guys should stay tuned for that. All right. So let's see. We've been almost an hour and a half into this, and I have to go to the floating. I missed the gun show. And, it's like, really, Joe, I really feel sorry for you. And I know what happened when, all that happened with my mother. She had to be, go reside in a home because her health got to a point where we couldn't take care of her at the house. And, it is devastating when you go through this with having to auction off stuff and everything. And it's like instant. There's no time to prepare or nothing. It's very difficult. But it's like you said, the times are bad, okay, and they're not getting any better, okay, and that's kind of why I didn't really bother going to the gun show because you go out there, prices are going to be high, and to drive out there and everything, and I don't think people are doing real good, and you notice it in the clubs and stuff. when you go in there, and usually, being retired, I go in the afternoon. My wife gets home from work. I stop, have a couple beers at the Veterans Post or neighborhood bar. And it used to be a bunch of guys like me sitting around, shoot a few games of pool in the afternoon or whatever, have a few drinks and go home. None of us stay out till, you know, I'm home by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, the latest, unless it's some sort of an event or a dinner or function or something, later on in the day. But, if I go out, have a couple beers with my friends, it's in the afternoon and we're all home watching TV, you know. Um, but yeah, you see it. There's nobody can afford it. When it gets to the point where people can't afford to, you have to make a choice. If you're going to eat this week or not. And it is a problem in this country. And it's hard to make a video discussing it because it's very complex. It's like the guy made the comment, God forbid if you say that the collapse of our society is creating the reloading component shortage. In a way, it's kind of all connected, all of it. The gun control, the political stuff, all of it is bad. And like the stuff going on in Moscow now, that's all political stuff. It's not good. And I don't know where it's going to go. I have a real deep fear that there's going to be another horrible recession and a crash in the stock market and stuff that's bad. Okay. And it's bad now. Okay. Things ain't good for anyone right at the moment, and that's what I'm kind of nervous about. Cooking powder with Kobe. Yep, that's right. My wife will love that. Yeah, so I know, Joe. It's tough, but I hope it'll work out for you. How many guns you have to sell? I don't know. Do they sell well? One fellow I knew, he passed away. His son ran an auction business because he did estate sales and that. Um, I didn't know that you could have a business where when someone passes, you have somebody come in and he will try to sell out all the possessions in the house because I guess you can't sell a house unless you clean it out. And that's where he had a business, and then he would run auctions. And a lot of it was antiques. Sometimes they'd have collectibles like cards and that. But then when his own father passed, his father had a pile of guns. And he had some interesting guns, you know. And he had a few gun auctions that was his father's stuff. He had some real, like a Colt 1902. He had a lot of stuff. He had several World War II issue 1911 A1s, and they went for some big. I mean, and he had that little auction place was packed with people. Okay, when he had them gun auctions, and a lot of that stuff went for some good money. I mean, they made out all right. So hopefully, you know, you can work. You'll get lucky. Work out for you. Did prices go up? Yes. Uh, 3 years ago, a pound of gunpowder was 24, $25. Now it's 58, almost 60, depending on the brand or type of powder. They vary about $10, depending the company or the powder brand. Yes. Primers were for 1,000 of them back, say, 2020, 2021, it was like $30 for 1,000. At the height of the shortage, it was $180 for 1,000, and now the standard going rate, depending on it, it's back down about $90 for 1,000. that's about what it is, $90 for 1,000. When it used to be, I remember paying 26, 27 retail. So yes, things are that bad. Um, the last 8 pound keg of gunpowder I paid for, I bought one. I had the one I bought 3 years ago was 100 and that powder was a tad expensive. I think it was 160 on the price tag when I bought it, and now to have it shipped to me with the hazmat because I can't find it locally, so that adds $25 to it. It was over $400. It was 400 and some odd dollars for me to get it. So they kind of sold it in terms of retail. They sold it to me, but the shipping is what added it. So it went from like 100, say $165 to $365 in 3 years. So yes, to answer your question, it has gone up a lot. Yeah. All right. Oh, it's all right. You didn't mention the relatives. Uh, okay. So does all of this stuff from the auction, is that going for your mother's care, or are the relatives looking to jump on this BS wagon too? You know? Yeah. All right then, guys. Hour and a half. Probably going to try to do some more Sundays, get things scheduled, because the weekends it's tough to go to the club because that's when everybody shows up, you know, to shoot there, and probably keep the Sundays for the chats. Uh, Now these on YouTube, I don't know if I can get guests. If I go with StreamYard and I get the guys signed up on StreamYard, I can bring some guests in and guests. I had the Battlefield curator. He wants to do an interview. I asked him if he'd go on a chat, and he said yes, but I haven't communicated with him in the past few weeks. I tried to get a hold of the fella on, what the hell is his name? Readiness Review. I kind of screwed up on that. I sent him a message on his YouTube page. I asked him if he'd be interested, and I didn't see where he replied. I thought he didn't reply. And like 20 days later, I went and seen where he did reply. So I apologized to him, sent him a message and that, but he never got back to me. So I don't know if I upset him or something or whatever. But he was agreeable to doing it, but I don't know. So I don't know. I guess I'll have to reach out. I know Rod wishes to come back into the chats again. And that Gun Geek, I see he's still hanging in there. I hope your health's holding up for you, bud. I know it's a son of a bitch when you start getting anything. For me, it's teeth. I had all this crap I had to go through. All right, so you're in Switzerland. Yes, that's about what powder is here. Well, Swiss has always been expensive. When you could get black powder for $18, Swiss was 25, and that was going on. GoX, yes. I guess somebody went in there and corrected whatever was wrong. Somebody bought that factory, and whatever problems they were having, it was something where they had to do something to either the equipment or the structure or some shit. And somebody did buy it and went in there because it leaves too big of a hole or a gap. And like I said, that is explosives. Black powder is considered explosive, so it's a pain transferring it or sending it across international borders. Um, so yeah, somebody stepped in. I believe it still was like interrupted for a year, but see, like I said, when I buy the stuff by the case, I got a shelf load of it. I got to go out this summer and shoot a bunch of times and start emptying them little 1 pound things out one by one, and then it drops down. Because, like I said, the cheapest way for me to buy is a minimum $300 a shot. I forget where it was. There was a wholesaler. There's so much they put in a box. I think 25 pounds is the max, and I'd get 20 or so, or maybe I'd get the whole 25 pounds. And it's the least expensive way to get it. That's why when I tell guys at the clubs, they piss and moan and whine, it costs so much. Well, get a bunch of the guys that shoot black powder together, order a case of the damn crap. All of you pitch in, and separate the costs. But nobody wants to work together. That's the thing. Every man for himself. So yeah. Well, our new friend from Switzerland, I ain't even gonna try to pronounce your name. Schultz. I can get the last name, but Lusner Schultz. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Plus, I had some work done on my mouth. My pronunciation of English is screwed up. But I thank you for coming. Sundays about this time is when I usually have a chat. We do like Schultz, marksman. Luzman is my town. All right, well, that's cool. Your alias is your alias. People call me Koba 49. It's not my real name, but yeah, you're welcome anytime. About this time Sundays we talk about stuff. The next one I might do is just the status of the surplus rifles and stuff here in the U.S. Because that's another debate. That's insane. I tried covering some auctions, and you see stuff go for astronomical prices, and you see it drop off, and that and everything. So yeah, we keep the chats going with stuff. This one here, we held about 25 people throughout the whole thing. I mean, when I was doing them on a regular basis and that, we used to get like 80, 90, but then we got the whatever trolls and that would flood the comment section, and we had trouble. I think we were under, because we were talking bad about the government and stuff, so we were being watched by YouTube or whatever. So, but that's when we do it, and we discuss things usually about guns, collecting, some politics if it's not banned, and things like that. So I think I'm going to call it quits, but we'll try to do it again next Sunday about this time, about 10 o'clock Eastern Standard. Hating the government. Yeah, I know. Who would do such a thing? So thank you guys for showing up, and I'll try to keep this on a regular basis, and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. So thank you, and stay tuned.